reproduction part, right? So now we'll go ahead with the second half of the chapter. Of course, the second half of the chapter becomes still more easier after understanding the human reproduction chapter. But definitely we'll go ahead with the second half of this chapter, that is reproduction in organisms. Well, yes, yes, sure. It was in my house only. Sucker and runner. Yeah. Sucker and runner. Sucker is going to be the underground stem, which is going to be growing from the horizontal branch of the main stem. It will first go deep into the soil, then it is going to come up at a distance above the soil. That is the sucker. And runners are going to be, almost on the soil only. They'll be having growing points or nodes, which will give rise to roots also and the shoots also. Okay, so they are subaerial modifications basically, of course, both of them. But in sucker, the branch is going to go completely inside the soil and come out into the another area. Runners is not like that. It's going to spread evenly, baju baju mein hi, a complete carpet is going to be formed. Induction of root means initiation of roots. So when we apply NAA, IBA to the stem cuttings, then it will start making roots at the lower ends where it has been cut. That is called as induction of root. Fine. Health, yeah, reproductive health, only one PDF. Everything is in that one PDF only, na? It's only one chapter. I've sent one PDF. Yes. Okay. So in the last class, we had completed till this particular slide, that is still grafting, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So we can go ahead with the next one. So yeah, asexual reproduction we have completed, wherein we have seen vegetative methods of reproduction. That was grafting, layering, and cutting, which was artificial. And natural methods of vegetative propagations were runners, suckers, tubers, then bulb we had seen, then fragmentation, budding, correct? All those examples we have seen in asexual reproduction. And now we are going ahead with the next part, that is sexual reproduction. Okay. Sexual reproduction, of course, as the name says, involves formation of male and female gametes, either by the same individual or by different individual of the opposite sex. Now, what happens in lower organisms like algae or in lower organisms like sponges and all, na, the gametes can be made by that one single parent, and the gametes can fuse within themselves also to make the new offspring. Okay, so it could be of the same sex or it could be of the opposite sex. In case of higher animals and higher plants, opposite sex is important. But in lower organisms, now individuals, a single individual making two or more gametes can fuse among themselves. Okay, these gametes fuse to form the zygote, which develops to form the new organism. It is an elaborate, complex, and slow process as compared to asexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction is going to take much more time. It is going to be an elaborate process. It's going to be a continuous process and it's a complex process. Fine? Because of the fusion of the male and female gametes, sexual reproduction results in offspring that are not identical to the parents or amongst themselves. We are never exact copies of our parents. We may look more like one of the parents. We may resemble more like our mother or more like our father, but we are not exact replicas of them. Just like how asexual reproduction was making clones, like that way here we are not clones of each other, right? So that is about the speciality of the sexual reproduction. Our study of diverse organisms, let it be plants, animals, or fungi. All of them show, though they differ so greatly in external morphology. See, plants are so much different from animals. Animals are so much different from fungi. So morphologically, we are very much different from each other, correct? But see, we are also different with respect to what? Internal structures. We have got organ systems. Plants do not have organ systems. Fungi do not have organs also, right? Similarly, we are different in physiology. Our internal, external behavioral pattern, chemicals, enzymes, all are different. We are not in the capacity to photosynthesize. Animalia cannot photosynthesize. So internal structure, physiology, morphology, we are so different from each other. But when it comes to sexual mode of reproduction, surprisingly, we all share a similar pattern. So whenever it comes to sexual reproduction, the one common fact is what? Formation of gametes, fusion of gametes, formation of zygote is a common normal process that is seen in all the diversified organisms, may it be plants, animals, or fungi. Genetic variations, yeah, we have got genetic variations. I haven't seen those movies. I'm not a movie bluff somehow. So I don't know what Bahubali is saying. I don't know. They have put a statement, then Bahubali is wrong. So probably you're talking about that movie, I guess. But I'm very sorry. Do not take a test of mine on movies. I'm definitely going to fail in that. Okay. So बाकी का तो मुझे कुछ भी पूछ लो. That is one particular area which I'm very bad at. And I'm sure that you all would be good at it, na? But I'm very bad at it. So you're going to be my teachers for that particular subject eventually, na? I'm very, very bad at it. Very bad at it. No, I'm not a movie bluff at all. At all. I mean, I don't like to spend 2.5 hours of, you know, my day, my schedule into something which is not going to be beneficial, basically. Even you don't like, I'm not a movie bluff at all. That's what. So that is one particular subject which I'm very poor at. I mean, very bad at it. You all will laugh at me. If you come to know certain facts, eventually when we'll meet now, I'll tell you something. Then you will be, whole year my TV is off because of younger brother. That's good. What is there on that TV? Nothing is there. You waste your time unnecessarily. News and all, it's okay. I watch news and all, but otherwise me and the television is of no use to each other practically. And one more thing that is there, which I love, that is the cricket match that goes on. That is one thing which I'll never miss. Anyway, what we were talking about is what? Had a very similar pattern with respect to the formation of gametes, fusion of gametes, and formation of zygote, right? There is a window which is popping over here for no reason. I'll just close it. Just give me a second. Because it's very irritating. That window is very irritating, na? Yes. Now it's gone. Well, so all organisms have to reach a certain age of growth and maturity in their life before they can reproduce sexually, of course. So immediately, as and when a newborn, offspring is going to develop, immediately it is not in the capacity to undergo sexual reproduction, right? That period of growth is called as juvenile phase. It is also known as vegetative phase in plants. Generally in animals and human beings, we use the word juvenile. Juvenile का मतलब होता है so young that the capacity to undergo sexual reproduction is not yet attained. Okay, that is juvenile. And in plants, we use the word vegetative phase. Vegetative में क्या होता है बेटा? In plants, what is going to happen in vegetative? Root formation will, go ahead with stem, branches, leaves. All of these are going to be formed. But the capacity to reproduce is not yet attained, right? The end of the juvenile phase or the vegetative phase, it's before puberty. Yes, well, yeah, perfectly right. The juvenile stage is before the age of puberty, correct. The end of the juvenile phase or the vegetative phase marks the beginning of reproductive phase. It can be seen easily in higher plants when they come to flower. So in plants also we can easily see, especially the flowering plants I'm talking about, that once you see a vegetative shoot getting converted into a reproductive shoot, it is demarked by having the buds on it, the floral buds on it, which will bloom to make flowers. Fine. So please remember the word juvenile phase for animals and vegetative phase for plants. Okay. Then plants, the annuals and the biennial types show clear-cut vegetative, reproductive, and senescent phase. But in the perennial species, it is very difficult to clearly define these phases. Now, please understand, my dears, what are annuals, biennials, and perennials. Annuals are those plants which are capable of completing their vegetative as well as their reproductive cycles within a year's time span. Within 1 year's time span, they are capable of completing their vegetative phase, means completing the development of root, stem, and leaves, as well as they complete the formation of the flower, fruit, seeds. Everything is completed within 1 year. Such type of plants are called as annuals. Right? Now, in the same context, what would be biennials? Biennials means 2. So they complete their vegetative as well as reproductive phases within 2 years of the lifespan. Those would be called as biennials. They take 2 years to complete their complete growth. Okay. Annual, you used to get your annual reports ना. स्कूल में थे तो annual day, annual reports मिलते थे. Annual का मतलब क्या है? साल में एक बार, है ना. Annual function आपके स्कूल में होता था कि नहीं? Cultural activities, dance, drama, singing, then what we say, mimicry, all those things. The entire year of the school used to wait for this day to come in your life, right? It was a weird day. Oh, it was fixed for you all. Okay, we did not have a fixed date. It used to be generally in the month of December, January, randomly between, like before we go ahead with the final examination. Annual day, sports day, yes. So annual का मतलब क्या होता है समझाना? नवंबर दिसंबर ना. हमारा भी ऐसे जनवरी दिसंबर में हुआ करता था बहुत साल पहले. Formality to attend. अरे, we used to enjoy, we used to wait. When I was in school, I used to wait for that day to come in my life. बहुत मजा आता था. Even I used to enjoy. Why it was a formality for you all, I don't know. Picnic, annual picnics. I don't know आप लोग की annual picnics होती थी कि नहीं? You participated in every activity. Na? Even I was like you only then. Even I participated in everything. Picnic, you loved it, na? So that is what. Oh, picnic. Your school never went for a picnic? Oh, that's disgusting. Imagica. That is your nowadays, you all are going to enjoy all these things. For us, so they used to never take us out of Mumbai also. But wherever they used to take us now, just enjoying with the friends and a day spent entire with the friends was the time where we had to actually go. Tikuji Niwari, okay. Oh, you had been to Hyderabad, so nice. It's like nowadays the schools are taking you all outside, of course. Well, so that is also annual, na? They won't take you every month, right? Yeah, Water Kingdom also. Yeah, we were not having mobiles and all that time. Never. NASA, oh, that's nice, yeah. Very nice, NASA. Good. That is, we call it as educational excursion rather than calling it as a picnic. है ना? Germany, na? Yeah. Some schools are taking students outside India also. That's nice. You enjoy those days, na? But it is not going to be every month, na? No one is going to take you for a picnic or excursion or somewhere every month. So that's what? Annual. So you understood the meaning of annual, na? Every phase of life of that plant will complete within 1 year. Huh? Biennial within 2 years. It's going to take 2 years for the completion of the life cycle. Okay. Now in annuals and biennials, there is a clear-cut division where we can see, this is the vegetative phase. मतलब अभी तक flowers आए नहीं है, मतलब it is in the vegetative phase. Flowers आ गए, so it is in the reproductive phase. And senescence, senescence का मतलब होता है बेटा old age. What do you mean by senescence? Old age. Okay, so eventually the flowering capacity will also be lost of the plant, and it will start decaying, rotting, and it will eventually die. So these are the phases which are associated with annuals and biennials. In annuals and biennials, now you can easily come to know vegetative phase khatam, reproductive phase khatam. अरे अभी ये senescent phase में enter करा रहा है अपने आप को, अभी ये flowering नहीं कर पा रहा है, growth नहीं कर पा रहा है. That is the senescent phase. But what is the difficulty with the perennials? Perennial species means who are going to sustain for a very long time on the, earth. Okay, तो उनका जो लाइफ स्पैन है ना वो बहुत ज्यादा होता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैंगो ट्री, वी डिस्कस दैट डे, है ना. वी डिस्कस व्हाट इज द लाइफ स्पैन ऑफ मैंगो ट्री. कम ऑन, टेल मी. सेनेसेंट फेज मीन्स ओल्ड एज बेटा. सेनेसेंट का मतलब होता है ओल्ड, बिकमिंग ओल्ड. मैंगो ट्री का कितना है? हाँ एग्जैक्टली, वेरी गुड, यस यस, ऑल ऑफ यू आर करेक्ट. 15 to 25 ना. सो इन दैट, it is, for example, the lifespan of a particular mango tree is 25 years. In those 25 years, when did it complete the vegetative phase? Then we feel vegetative phase complete हो गया क्योंकि flowering आ गया. But then flowers will going to get converted into fruits. Fruits will be either broken, stolen, या फिर गिर जाएंगे खुद के खुद मैंगोज. अब हमें लगेगा अभी खत्म, अभी ये प्लांट अभी मर जाएगा, अभी तो ये जिंदा नहीं रहेगा. फ्लावर्स भी आके गए, फ्रूट्स भी आके गए. नेक्स्ट ईयर अगेन यू सी फ्लावर्स कमिंग. तो ऐसे वाले प्लांट्स को हम कहते हैं पेरिनियल, विच आर गोइंग टू कंप्लीट देयर वेजिटेटिव फेज, reproductive phase, and before entering the senescent phase, they have got something called as intervening phase or interflowering phase. दो फ्लावरिंग सीजन्स के बीच में का टाइम. yeah, it is a continuous, it is a continuous process till they die. Yes, yes. Okay, so these type of perennials made it is difficult to clear cut demark ki whether vegetative, reproductive or senescent, we don't know. Fine. So please beta, ये जो content है ना, it will be repeated in 3 more chapters. There are 3 more chapters wherein annual, biennial, perennial words will be used. So today I have explained you all the 3. So next time whenever I encounter these words, I'll ask you all and I'll expect you all to answer these questions for me. So any difficulty with annual, biennial, perennial? Perennial समझा ना बेटा सबको? Very good. Now see, a few plants exhibit unusual flowering phenomena. Some of them, such as the bamboo species, flower only once in their lifetime. That is generally 50 to 100 years. Means the bamboo plants are going to remain in the vegetative phase for almost 50 to 100 years. उसके बाद उनको रिप्रोडक्टिव कैपेसिटी आ जाएगी फ्लावर्स बनाने की, और जैसे ही वो फ्लावर्स बनाते हैं ना, दे डाई, उनका लाइफ खत्म. So they remain in that vegetative phase for such a long time. See, 50 to 100 years is a long time. And finally they attain the capacity to produce flowers. They feel happy कि चलो at least now the reproductive phase is attained. And by the time they realize that, now they die. So that is not necessarily dependent on water, beta. Perennial means who are going to be sustaining for many years on the land, and they will be having interflowering. So seasons hote hain unme. Okay, see, if you look at the hibiscus, hibiscus is going to be your jaswan कहते हैं हम लोग उसको, शू फ्लावर jaswan है ना. उसका interflowering period कितना है? 24 hours. So every after 24 hours है ना, आपको वो शू फ्लावर के फ्लावर्स मिलते जाएंगे. लेकिन मैंगो के लिए आपको वेट करना पड़ता है एक पूरे साल के लिए, करेक्ट। स्ट्रॉबेरी के लिए आपको एक पूरे साल के लिए वेट करना पड़ता है। तो कुछ कुछ जो प्लांट्स है ना, उनका इंटर फ्लावरिंग पीरियड बहुत कम है, कुछ कुछ प्लांट्स है उनका इंटर फ्लावरिंग पीरियड बहुत ज्यादा है। सो बट whatever it is, they will flower and they will not die, they will reflower, keep on flowering again and again. Those will be called as perennials, right? But bamboo, look at bamboo, वो बेचारा 100 साल तक रुका, and after 100 years it got the capacity to make flowers. Before he was happy that yes, I can make flowers, it again ended with his life. Okay, they produce flowers and fruits also in large number and they die immediately, correct? Another plant, Strobilanthus kunthiana, also called as Neela Kuranji, they flower once in 12 years. So for Neela Kuranji, for Strobilanthus kunthiana, they are going to be in the vegetative phase for almost 11 years. And in the 12th year, after the 12 years they have completed of the vegetative phase, then they are going to bloom up. Okay. As many of you would know, this plant flowered during September, October 2006. My dears, 2006 plus 12, kitna hota hai? Can you tell me? 2006 plus 12 years. They would have flowered again in which year? Very good. Yes. So they again flowered in 2018. But you know what? You know what? Your NCERT book is not upgraded after 2018. It was upgraded in the year 2017. So you know that September, October 2006 is printed in your books. So if they do not upgrade the books till you give your NEET exams, kindly abide by September, October 2006 only. Though calculatively it is 2018, your books are saying 2006, so you have to mark your answer as 2006. If they upgrade, of course, they will upgrade it to 2018. Then we can have a discussion later on. But if they don't upgrade your NCERT textbooks, please believe in this 2006 year. Huh? And remember that they're going to flower every after 12 years. Okay. Its mass flowering transformed large tracts of hilly areas of Kerala, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu in blue stretches and attracted a large number of tourists. So every time when they bloom now, after every 12 years, whenever they bloom now, they're going to have lawns of that blue carpet laid down in the hilly areas of Kerala, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu. So if you take a helicopter ride, they offer you helicopter rides nowadays. So if you take a helicopter ride now, then you can actually see a complete blue carpet, laden on the regions of Kerala, Karnataka, and Andhra. It seems to be very beautiful. Seriously, it looks very beautiful. It's bluish pinkish color, Mao color ke flowers hote, बहुत beautiful flowers hote. Okay, but you have to wait for another 12 years. So if you want to go and see it, 2018 plus 12, when would you be able to see them again? Come on, tell me. कब तक आपको रुकना है? Yeah, 2030. So 9 more years. By that time, those who are heading to become doctors would have already become doctors. They would have also cleared their PG NEET and entered into the post-graduation programs also. Those who are heading for research would have already become research scientists. Huh? So you would have already, reached your destinations. So you can then enjoy 2030 ka helicopter ride to see the Neela Kuranji. That time, remember me, huh? Don't forget me. That once upon a time, 9 years before, there was a miss who had told us about this Neela Kuranji, Strobilanthus kunthiana, and today we are experiencing this after 9 years. I know. In the books, it's all said and done. Practically, no one has got that much of time. But they show even on television. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, so remember this point. This is a very common question that they ask you. 12 years wala for Neela Kuranji and 50 to 100 years for bamboo. Okay. In animals, the juvenile phase is followed by morphological and physiological changes prior to active reproductive behavior. So the morphological changes and the physiological changes is nothing but whatever we have seen the effects of the hormones and how the in males how the testosterone is going to be released, how the Leydig cells are going to be helping, and everything that the human reproduction chapter that we have gone ahead with, right? The reproductive phase is also of variable duration in different organisms. Of course, every organism has got a different phase, okay, time span. Birds living in nature lay eggs only seasonally. However, birds in captivity, as in poultry farms, can be made to lay eggs throughout the year. So this is again, with the help of the different hormones which are going to be mixed with the feeds that we are going to give the birds, so that they produce more amount of hormones that are going to help in the formation of the eggs. So it's artificially done, of course, but in nature, if you talk about nature, then the eggs are going to be laid seasonally, just like how you get seasonal fruits. In this case, laying eggs is not related to reproduction, but is a commercial exploitation for human welfare. Yeah, so it's actually, nothing. The eggs are not made with the intention to have the progeny, but it is made with an intention for, human welfare. People exploit the birds so that, they get maximum eggs and they can consume them, right? The females of the placental mammals. Placental mammals means those mammals who are going to develop placenta, exhibit cyclic changes in the activities of the ovaries and accessory ducts, as well as hormones during the reproductive phase. We have already seen this, right? ये हमने पूरा डिटेल में पूरे साइकिल्स देखे हुए हैं कि कैसे हार्मोनल चेंजेस होते जाते हैं. In non-primate mammals like cow, sheep, rats, deer, dog, tiger, etc., such cyclic changes during reproduction is called as estrous cycle, whereas in primates like monkey, apes, and humans, it is called as menstrual cycle. So menstrual cycle, we have done in detail the content in the reproduction chapter of humans, right? Estrogen, progesterone, luteinizing hormone, FSH, LH, how all are going to be contributing in the, 4 phases also we have seen, correct? Right? So everything we have done in, complete detail about the female reproductive system, in which we have seen the menstrual cycle. Now, what exactly is estrous cycle? So what is the difference? I'll tell you. So you will come to know very quickly that what it is actually. So in non-primates, the ones which are not going to have, what are primates basically? Come on, yeah, very good question. I should only ask you. Who knows what are primates? They have given monkeys, apes, and humans are primates. What do you mean by that word primate? Then you will come to know what are non-primates. Come on, give a try. What are primates? Order is primata. Order is primata. But what do you mean by that word? Who can walk on 2 legs? Basically, 2-legged. Yes, yes, 2-legged ones. Correct. Okay. Yeah, and the non-primates are the others who walk on 4. Right? Yes. So what happens in estrous cycle is, just like menstrual cycle, the females of the other animals like cows, sheep, female rats, female deer, female dogs, the tigresses, all are also going to undergo a cyclic change in their, endometrium thickenings. Okay. Yeah, they are birds, of course. But that is not coming under your mammalia, na beta? These all are mammalia. Mammals, yeah. They all are mammals, mammalia. They come under mammalia. Okay. Exactly. I'm coming to that. So what happens in cow, sheep, and all these females, the non-primates one, even they are going to have the shedding of their endometrium. Just like in the menstrual cycle, how there is shedding of the endometrium, in the same way, there is shedding of the endometrium in case of these non-primate females as well. But there is a big difference. In case of primate females, that particular shredding is going to be thrown out of the body, right? On the other hand, in case of non-primates, it is not thrown out of the body. Rather, the intestinal folds will reabsorb these, shreddings or the discharges, and it won't be discharged out of the body of these non-primates. Okay, they would never ever discharge any blood outside their body. Yeah, even in dogs, yes, all of them. Okay, so they are going to be, that everything will be reabsorbed into the folds of the intestine itself, but it won't be shredded outside. Okay, now the first thing is that we have to understand is this point, that it is never given outside. Second thing is, during the menstrual cycle, when a female is experiencing or undergoing the menstrual cycle, she is going to be reproductively isolated. She is not going to be in the capacity to produce offspring, right? No, it is not harmful. It is going to be phagocytosis eventually. It's nothing harmful in that. So what is my point, Sibita? That whenever a female is undergoing menstrual cycle, she is not in the capacity to undergo copulation, and she cannot make any offspring immediately, because the ovulation is going to take place on the 14th day of the menstrual cycle, correct? So even if there is insemination taking place, of course there is no question of having the chance of becoming pregnant. But in case of estrous cycle, it is exactly opposite. It is only during the estrous cycle when the female non-primate is active to undergo copulation. It is only during that time when the female will allow the male to come near her and undergo insemination. Otherwise, it will never allow that male to come also near that female. वो कभी अलाउ नहीं करेगी कोई भी उसके अपोजिट सेक्स वाले को उसके आजू बाजू में आने के लिए. It is only during the estrous cycle. Okay. What is the difference between primates and non-primates? That is what I said just now. Okay. Estrous cycle is also monthly, but it depends on the different types of animals. Like for tigers, it is going to be very rare. I mean, maybe once in 3-4 years also. In rats, it is going to be monthly. And therefore, the population of rats is so much, right? Because every time the female rat undergoes this estrous cycle, the insemination would be allowed, and at a time, 6 to 8 offspring can be produced. Yes, hence population. Correct, beta. So for every, like there are certain species which are going on extinction. And there is one more beauty of it, beta, that during the estrous cycle, if that particular non-primate is not inseminated, then for it to again, accomplish the task of undergoing the estrous cycle, it has to wait. So many a times what happens, you don't get the right, these non-primates, they don't get the right male partners only for inseminations during the estrous cycle period. And then their population is going to decline eventually. They are on the verge of becoming extinct then. Okay. So it all depends upon the estrous cycle. Yeah, monkeys are going to be having same menstrual cycle like us only. Okay. Elephants, they are non-primates. So even they are going to have estrous cycle. And what is the number of offspring humans can produce at one time? That depends on naturally maximum 2. But nowadays we have got artificial insemination. So in that case, whatever number of morula have been inserted, maybe all will develop. No, even they are, no. They are also going to show estrus only. Estrus cycle. Non-primitive. No, it is not going to be, it is going to be embedded in the abdominal region now. So it cannot be seen. It's embedded in the abdominal region. See, even in case of elephants now, they are going to have their testes embedded into their stomach forever. They'll only descend at the time of insemination. And again, they'll go back into the abdominal cavity after the act of copulation is completed. Okay. So, yeah. So there are many such animals who are going to be like this also. Okay. Estrus cycle. Okay, so this is about the estrus and the menstrual cycle ka difference. Second thing, during menstrual cycle, the body temperature is going to go a bit on the lower, like a bit on the 1 degrees higher side, what we saw. In estrus cycle, it's opposite. Okay, so these are the few things which are the differences between estrus and menstrual cycle. Fine. Comes out during breeding season. Yes. That is what even in elephants. Okay. Many mammals, especially those in the natural wild conditions, exhibit such cycles only during favorable seasons in their reproductive phase and are therefore called as seasonal breeders. Many other mammals are reproductively active throughout their reproductive phase and hence they are called as continuous breeders. So human beings, apes, monkeys, we are continuous breeders. We don't have any season for breeding. Okay? They do undergo. They do undergo puberty. Yes, non-primates also. Even they're going to have the juvenile phase. Okay. Well, so what are the different phases which are seen in the life of sexually reproducing organisms? See, all organisms which reproduce sexually have to reach certain age of growth and maturity before they can reproduce sexually. This period of growth is called as juvenile phase. It is also known as vegetative phase in plants. This phase is of variable duration in different organisms. It's not always the same. The end of vegetative phase in case of plant results in beginning of the reproductive phase, which can be easily observed in higher plants when they come to flower. The end of reproductive phase can be considered as one of the parameters of senescence, or in human beings, we call it as old age. There are concomitant changes in the body. Concomitant means simultaneous. Okay, at the same time, many changes would occur in the body of the organism, like slowing of metabolism in the senescent phase, especially during this last phase of lifespan. Old age ultimately leads to death. That is inevitable. Every organism who is born has to die. Correct? So concomitant का मतलब समझा बेटा? Simultaneously एक साथ बहुत सारे changes होते हैं. ठीक है? Like slowing of metabolism उन्होंने एक दिया है. There are many changes that you might have observed in your grandparents if they are there around you, or at least you might have seen some people in your society who are old, and you can see like how different they have started, not only look wise but overall. The eyesight gets weakened, the bones are weakened, their speech is becoming blurred, wrinkles on their hands, face, body, everywhere. Hair color has changed, right? They are becoming more and more linear, and they don't have that much of energy as it was 20 years before, 15 years before, 10 years before. Yes, hearing problems. Correct. Hormonal changes तो है ही, of course. It is the hormonal changes only that has caused all these things. Right? But you can even see some old people who are more fit than the young people. They are so fit. Yeah. Those are the different problems. Yeah. But there are some old people, you look at them and you don't feel their age is 80 years old. They seem to be as young as 60, 65 years old. Yes. So that is the, key to keep their metabolism active. The more you are metabolically active, the lesser would be your degradation time. You can, have a good healthy life for a very long time. Everything based on the metabolism. I'm not, you all are giving me names, but I know Milind Soman because he is a sports person. So you have said like Milind Soman. I know Milind Soman. सुनील शेट्टी कौन? जाने दो, मैंने बोला ना मेरे टेस्ट मत लो यार, सबके सामने मुझे तुम लोग ऐसे मतलब ऐसे गूगली डालते हो तो मुझे कैसे समझेगा? हाँ, why exactly do we age? Don't our cells divide and then die? Yeah, beta, they are going to divide, but the capacity to make new cells will go on decreasing as we age because the secretion of the hormones go on decreasing, and the capacity to break down these cells becomes much more as compared to synthesis. So the balance is lost. In your age, what is happening? What is your age now? Now, in this age, what is happening? The synthesis of new cells is very high. So you all are becoming taller, you know, you all are attaining a very good height, you all are attaining a very good body mass, and you all are actually growing. But when you look at your grandparents now, this is going to be exactly ulta. The degradation of cells becomes faster and the formation becomes slower, right? Hera Fairy movie, I don't know, re baba. Six packs to bolne ke liye, just be metabolically active, that's it. You have to keep metabolically active, you have to keep your cells metabolically active, yes, and you're going to have a very long life. Yes. The ideal weight ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता है, unless and until you are metabolically fit, everything is okay. 1006 years, God bless you. Okay, so that is about the yeah, exactly. Very nice, Sanika. Yes. So this is how the phases are going to be, seen basically. See, in both, how some people eat very much but still be fit even if they don't exercise. No, if they don't exercise, they are not fit, Baba. Externally, they seem to be fit, but internally, they are not going to be fit. You should have a balance of everything. How to be metabolically fit? Eat right, sleep right, and exercise right. These are the only three mantras to have a very good, healthy life. Okay. High BMR, yeah, it could be. Okay. But basically, eat right. Don't eat less. I never say eat less, eat right. You should always eat right amount. Okay. And balanced diet. You should have a very good balanced diet. So eat right, sleep right. You have to have very good sleep. If you're going to deprive yourself of sleep now, you're going to fall sick for sure. And exercise every day, at least some time of your entire 24 hours. Take out some time. I'm not saying exercise matlab gym mein jaake body banate rehna hai every day. Thoda bahut. Okay. How to increase height? Height depends on your genetic makeup beta. So that is the very important contribution that you're going to have. And secondly, of course, you have got sports now like cycling, very important for increasing your height. Permanent shape. Yeah. So that is important. Keep metabolism should be always good. Keep a very good metabolism. Whatever you eat is not a problem. Whatever you digest, you can eat everything. Unless and until you can digest whatever you're eating, no issues. But whatever you eat should be digested sufficiently. Okay. Again, as I said, weight, height, all are genetically controlled things. Okay. 5'8", you can still grow. You all are still in that growing phase. You all can still increase your heights eventually. Weight also you all can increase. Sure. Okay. So what is the thing that they are saying? See, weight is genetical? Yes. Even that is genetical. It depends on the, the genes which are going to be there in you. When I teach you all the chapter of which one? Tissues. That time I'll tell you all that some people are not eating anything, yet they are very obese. And some people eat so much and then they are very lean. How? I'll tell you all in the tissues ka chapter. That is what, na beta. That makes our metabolism slower, na. So then this thing happens. right? Well, so in both plants and animals, hormones are responsible for transitions between the three phases, as I said. Okay. What is metabolism? Metabolism is going to be the activity of making and breaking things in our cells. So catabolism is breaking the complex food substances into simple, and anabolism is forming the simple substances into complex. So this activity is going on in our cells continuously. So this activity of making and breaking is called as metabolism. Okay, right? Well, interaction between hormones and certain environmental factors regulate the reproductive processes and the associated behavioral expressions of organisms. So it's the collective, thing that we see together as expression. What is it? Hormones and environmental factors. Okay, they regulate the reproductive process and the associated behavioral expressions of organisms. Fine. So it is completely hormonal. As I said, that girls would definitely agree to whatever I'm saying, and boys also need not definitely say no, because you might have experienced this with your sisters if you have got, or friends who are girls. I'm not saying girlfriends. I'm just saying friends who are girls. You would be having friends who are girls. So, ठीक है ना? And or it might be, like you might be even experiencing this with maybe your mother. See, there is, like sometimes during a particular time period, the hormonal control is sometimes not balanced, especially in females. The estrogen and progesterone hormone control is not balanced. In that case, now the female sometimes becomes very, like irritability is felt by her. She may become very, what do we say, short tempered, mood swings. All these things are experienced. Okay, that is because of this hormonal imbalances. So hormones play a very important role in the behavioral expression of the organism. Yeah, mood swings. Yes, yes. Some of them, they get angry also, especially the females who are nearing the menopause. Those females are the ones which are, having all these hot flushes and sometimes even suicidal thoughts. Yeah, even during the, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Even during the menstrual cycle, you get all negative thoughts sometimes. And even like, there are so many cases that come up, and the menopausal females now, they sometimes want to, end their life for no reason. There's no reason. They are just emotionally not confident to sustain and survive in the society, right? Yeah. In males, the hormones are not playing this type of a role as in case of females, right? Yeah, exactly, exactly. That happens, my dear. That is a natural phenomena. See, from the age of around, we have already seen about the menopausal age, which is going to be somewhere around, 45 to 50 is what we generally claim, right? So there are many females who pass through this particular odd time of their life. And that time, the others should support them. As children, you all should support your mothers, okay? As husbands, you all should support your wives eventually, right? Yeah, of course. So, we should understand this is a biological process, and you should, accept that particular time phase, and you should cooperate that time. Otherwise, the outcomes are very bad, right? Exactly. So that is what they are saying. Then those plants which are annual and biennial type show a clear-cut vegetative, reproductive, senescent phase, which we have already seen. But in case of perennial plants, it is very difficult to define phases because of the presence of interflowering period. That is what I said. It flowers, again stops, again starts, again stops. So even in plants, these things are going to be seen. Okay. In flowering plants, flower represents their reproductive organ, and depending upon flowering pattern, there are two types of flowering plants, monocarpic and polycarpic. So in plants, we have got two types of plants based on the flowering capacity. See, Monocarpic, the plant which flowers only once in their lifespan. After flowering, they produce fruit and they die. Example, all annuals, biennials, and few perennial plants also are monocarpic. For example, bamboo flower once in 50 to 100 years and it dies. Agave flowers once in 100 years and it dies. So these type of plants are called as what? Monocarpic. Mono means single. Carpel means, what is carpel? Gynoecium, which is associated with the female flower formation. Okay, so monocarpic, they flowers only once in a lifetime and then they are died. Okay, polycarpic, these are for perennials, after which after crossing vegetative phase starts producing flower in a particular season. Example, mango, jackfruit, plum, peach, guava, all the fruits that you know. Okay. In polycarpic plant, the period between two flowering phases is known as interflowering period or recovery phase. During this phase, the plant accumulates resources which are required for flowering. Okay, they'll keep on accumulating whatever is going to be required for flowering. In both plants and animals, hormones are responsible for the transitions between the three phases. Interaction between hormones, same thing they have mentioned again. Interaction between hormones and certain environmental factors regulate the reproductive process and associated behavioral expression of organisms. This is for the polycarpic plants specifically. Okay. What are the events? After attainment of maturity, all sexually reproducing organisms exhibit events and processes that have remarkable fundamentality or similarity. Even though the structures associated with the sexual reproductions are indeed very different. In plants, the reproductive structure is quite different as in case of animals and human beings. Okay. The events of sexual reproduction, though elaborate and complex, follow a regular sequence. So there's a sequence which is going to be followed in every sexually reproducing organism. Sexual reproduction is characterized by the fusion or fertilization of the male and female gamete, the formation of zygote, and embryogenesis, that is formation of embryo. For convenience, these sequential events may be grouped into three distinct stages, namely pre-fertilization, fertilization, and post-fertilization events. Pre means before, post means after. Fertilization is the actual event of fusion of gametes. Okay. First, we come to the pre-fertilization events. These include all the events of the sexual reproduction prior to the fusion of the gametes. The two main pre-fertilization events are gametogenesis and gamete transfer. You already know what is gametogenesis, right? That is formation of gametes. So gametogenesis refers to the process of formation of two types of gametes, male, female. Gametes are always haploid, which we already know. Look at the diagram over here, beta. So here, this A diagram is the isogametes of Cladophora. B is the heterogametes of Fucus, which is an algae. And C, heterogametes of Homo sapiens, egg and the sperm. So what is isogamete? What is heterogamete? And how are they, similar or different from each other? And which type of organisms show these is something that we'll be talking about. See, in some algae, the two gametes are so similar in appearance that it is not possible to categorize them into male and female gametes. We cannot categorize them. So can you look at this diagram? Can you tell me which is the male gamete, which is the female gamete? A diagram देखिए, बता सकते हैं हम लोग कि ये मेल है, ये फीमेल है, ऐसे डिस्टिंग्विश हो रहा है यहाँ पर? बिल्कुल नहीं. So they are so much similar. So similar means iso. Similar का मतलब क्या होता है? Iso. You have heard about isomers in chemistry, haven't you? Chemistry में isomerism, isomers of each other, ये word तो सुना होगा. हाँ, B and C. B and C, you can very clearly come to know what is the female gamete. Yeah. Yes, Vaishnavi, right. So here also, they are called as, they look very much similar to each other, na? Therefore, they are called as isogametes. ठीक है, hence they are called as homogametes or isogametes. However, in majority of the sexually reproducing organisms, the gametes produced are of two morphologically distinct types, and therefore they are going to be called as heterogametes. Hetero means different, homo means same, right? In such organisms, the male gamete is called as antherzoid or sperm, and the female gamete is called as egg or ovum. Okay, so here you can see this is the large egg, and this is the small antheridium. Here you can see this is the large ovum, and these are the motile sperms. Okay. Sexuality in organisms. Sexual reproduction in organism generally involves the fusion of gametes from two different individuals, but this is not always true. Why is it not always true? See, plants may have both male and female reproductive structures in the same plant. We call it as bisexual flowers. Or on different plants, we call it as unisexual flowers. Fine. In several fungi and plants, terms such as homothallic and monoecious are used to denote the bisexual condition. And heterothallic and dioecious are the terms used to describe unisexual conditions. अब ये पैराग्राफ जो आपके एनसीईआरटी का है ना बेटा, ये फेवरेट, एकदम फेवरेट है एग्जामिनर्स का, because the words are very confusing. Look at it. Bisexual, unisexual, homothallic, monoecious, heterothallic, dioecious. कंफ्यूजन होता है माइंड में. इजी बता रही हूँ, बिल्कुल सिंप्लीफाइड वर्जन आपको बता रही हूँ मैं. Bisexual means, bi means two. Both the sexes in the same flower. Please understand. Both the sexes in the same flower is bisexual. Both the sexes in the same animal is also bisexual, but we call it as hermaphrodite. As in case of earthworms, you already know they are hermaphrodites, means the male reproductive structure and the female reproductive structure both are present in the same organism. Okay. Different plants, unisexual. Different plants means this is plant A having flowers containing only stamen. This is plant B having flowers containing only carpel. Okay, तो ये फीमेल प्लांट हो गया, ये मेल प्लांट हो गया. मेल प्लांट का मतलब क्या होता है? मेल प्लांट के ऊपर सिर्फ और सिर्फ मेल रिप्रोडक्टिव स्ट्रक्चर्स रहेंगे, एंड फीमेल प्लांट का मतलब क्या होता है? ओनली एंड ओनली फीमेल रिप्रोडक्टिव स्ट्रक्चर्स रहेंगे. दैट इज योर यूनिसेक्सुअल. ठीक है, गॉट इट? नो डिफिकल्टी इन अंडरस्टैंडिंग दिस? गॉट इट? या in no beta, no, it's, we all are what? We all are dioecious. That means two different sexes. Okay, in several fungi and plants, terms such as homothallic, homo means same, thallus means body, okay, monoecious are used to denote the bisexual condition. Monoecious, मोनोशियस में और बाइसेक्सुअल में क्या फर्क है ना, ये प्लीज आज ही जान लेना बेटा, नहीं तो 2 साल के बाद ये क्वेश्चन आपकी जान खा डालेगा. तो प्लीज समझना ये पॉइंट को. व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन मोनोशियस एंड बाइसेक्सुअल? ओके, मोनोशियस मीन्स one plant having male flowers as well as female flowers. What is monoecious? One plant having both male flowers as well as female flowers. समझ में आया? Monoecious condition समझ में आया? No confusion. What is monoecious? Come on, one more time. One plant having male flowers as well as female flowers. Bisexual, one flower having male reproductive structures as well as female reproductive structures in that same flower. एक ही फ्लावर में मेल रिप्रोडक्टिव स्ट्रक्चर्स भी है और फीमेल रिप्रोडक्टिव स्ट्रक्चर्स भी है। ऐसे फ्लावर को हम कहते हैं बाइसेक्सुअल फ्लावर। एंड मोनोशियस प्लांट होता है बेटा, मोनोशियस फ्लावर नहीं होता है। सो व्हाट इज मोनोशियस फ्लावर? वन प्लांट हैविंग मेल फ्लावर्स containing only stamen, as well as it has got another flower containing only the carpel. Is it fine? Is there any confusion in your mind still? So bisexual flower, monoecious plant और homothallic plant, ये तीनों terms दिमाग में fit हो गए? You want me to repeat it? I'll repeat it. See, listen carefully because this is very important now. This is very important. Okay. A flower like shoe flower. Have you all seen a shoe flower? Jaswan देखा है आपने? Yes, 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 exactly. Niharika, I'm telling the same example. Yeah. So the shoe flower na beta is going to have what? Stamen as well as carpel present in it. So the shoe flower is an example of bisexual flower. Hibiscus, yes. So hibiscus is going to be the example of bisexual flower. Agreed? Did you all understand? Huh? Then I come to monoecious. Monoecious is a plant which is going to have two different types of flowers. One plant, but two different types of flowers. One flower containing only the stamen, which is the male reproductive organ, and another flower containing only the carpel, which is the female reproductive organ. Okay, got it? The example is going to be your date palm, papaya. Monoecious is going to be your coconut, cucurbits. I'm sorry, coconut and cucurbits is monoecious. So coconut का जो plant होता है ना बेटा, it is monoecious, coconut tree. One tree having female flowers also and male flowers also. Fine. Hibiscus plant is a monoecious plant. We cannot call it as a typical monoecious because it is having bisexual flowers. So in the flower only it is going to be, both the sexes present. In monoecious generally what is the condition? Two different flowers, each containing the two different types of gamete producing structures. Okay, got it? So generally that is the way we call it. Bisexual plant नहीं बोलते हम लोग, we call it as bisexual flower. And monoecious flower नहीं होता है बेटा, monoecious होता है plant. तो monoecious plant में unisexual flowers होंगे कि नहीं? Monoecious plant पे unisexual flower having only one sex. One flower having male sex structure, another flower having female sex structure. So they are unisexual. This is most important and most confusing. So I don't want anyone of you all to get confused. Homothallic is monoecious or bisexual. Homothallic is monoecious. Okay. Individual means one single flower having either stamens or carpel. Okay, got it? That is the meaning of individuals. ठीक है, समझा? कोई डिफिकल्टी है? समझ में आ गई बात? ओके, अब next is going to be what? हाँ, that only I said ना बेटा. Individual, where are you saying individual? I don't know. Which individual are you talking about? Same plant or different plant? Unisexual, huh? Unisexual, yeah. And individual means one flower having one type of reproductive structure. That is individual. Fine. Now see, second one. Heterothallic and dioecious. Dioecious, di means two. Oecious organisms, two different organisms. Terms which are used to describe unisexual condition in animals. So we all are dioecious. A female will have all the reproductive structures of a female. A male will have all the reproductive structures of a male. So we are dioecious, or we can be called as unisexual as well. Correct? In animals, it is simpler. We all are dioecious. We have got two different sexes, male and female. Male will have all the male reproductive structures, so unisexual for maleness. Female will have female reproductive structures, so unisexual for femaleness. Got it? Understood? In flowering plants, the unisexual male flowers are called as staminate. That is, the ones which are going to have stamens will be called as staminate, while the female flowers will be called as pistillate, the one which is going to contain a pistil or a carpel. Pistil को ही carpel बोलते हैं. Pistil and carpels are synonyms of each other, right? So staminate means only male structures present. Pistillate means only female structures present. ठीक है? What are the male structures in flowers? Stamen. Stamen is going to be having anther and filament. Female structure in pistil or carpel is going to have stigma, style, and ovary. Right? So that is what is the way they want to explain. In some flowering plants, both male and female flowers may be present on the same individual. Male and female flowers may be present on the same individual, monoecious, or on separate individuals, dioecious. Fine. Some examples of monoecious plants are coconuts and cucurbits, and dioecious plants is date palm and papaya. So these things have to be remembered very carefully. Any difficulty in understanding these bisexual, unisexual, homothallic, monoecious, heterothallic, dioecious, staminate, pistinate examples? कुछ भी point नहीं समझा है? Cucurbits is going to be all your cucumber, bottle gourd, beetle gourd, pumpkin, all come under the cucurbits. They all are cucurbits. Okay. Pistillate means those who are going to have only pistil. Pistil means carpel beta. Pistil का दूसरा नाम है carpel. Carpel या pistil कहते हैं हम लोग उसको. That is style, stigma, ovary, gynoecium जिसका बनता है ना वो. Okay, that is your pistil. ठीक है. चलो, come on, ask me doubts, my dears. If you have got any doubts in your mind, please ask me. Any word, any confusion, any problem in understanding anything of this? Go ahead with asking me the doubts. Cucurbit means those particular group of plants which are belonging to the family Cucurbitaceae. Cucumber, bottle gourd पता है ना, दूधी, लौकी, bitter gourd, करेला, pumpkin, all of them are going to be your cucurbits. Okay. Pistil means carpel, one and the same. Homothallic means both reproductive systems in one. Yes, bacha, बिल्कुल correct. Homothallic याद है. Homothallic means both the reproductive structures will be present on the same thalli. Thalli means body of the plant. That is homothallic. Got it? Well, anyone else, my dears? Come on, please clear your doubts. Please clear your doubts. These are important points. You cannot neglect them. And it will be repeated again and again in the coming chapters also. So that I don't want any confusion in your mind. What is unisexual? What is bisexual? Now look at the contradiction. Since you have got no doubts, मैं आपके दिमाग में doubts भर देती हूँ. ताकि जब तुम्हारे दिमाग में ये डाउट आए ना तो वो क्लियर हो जाए, इसलिए भर रही हूँ. तुम्हारे दिमाग में डाउट्स नहीं भर रही हूँ, इनफैक्ट डाउट्स को क्लियर करा रही हूँ. बट सुनो, look at this word, bisexual, dioecious, exactly opposite of each other, though they seem to be same. Bi means two, di means two, है या नहीं? But bisexual means एक ही फ्लावर में दोनों sexes. Dioecious means दो अलग अलग separate organisms, अलग अलग sexes. ठीक है. तो बाइसेक्सुअल में और डायोशियस में बहुत बार बच्चों का कंफ्यूजन होता है. डायोशियस दिमाग में आता है ना तो ह्यूमन बींग्स को सामने लेके आने का. वी ऑल, लेडीज एंड जेंट्स, डायोशियस, टू डिफरेंट सेक्सेस, दैट इज डायोशियस. ओके एंड बाइसेक्सुअल फ्लावर दिमाग में आता है ना, तो हिबिस्कस का फ्लावर आंखों के सामने लाने का, हैविंग स्टेमन आल्सो एंड कार्पेल और पिस्टल आल्सो. इज इट फाइन? सो डोंट गेट कंफ्यूज्ड विद इन दैट बच्चा. फाइन. Okay. Anyone else who has got any difficulty? Do not forget cucurbits, coconuts for monoecious and papaya and date palm for dioecious. They ask you every time in your examinations. Okay. Well, yeah. Look at the animals. Earthworm, sponge, tapeworm, leech are the typical examples of bisexual animals that possesses male and female reproductive organs inside the same organism, and therefore they are called as what? Hermaphrodites. Cockroach is an example of unisexual species, means dioecious condition. So cockroaches में sexes are separate. हाँ, इसको मैं थोड़ा हटाती हूँ यहाँ से इधर. हाँ, now you can see this A diagram है bisexual animal earthworm. Here you can see the presence of testes. In the same organism, you can see the presence of ovaries. So testes and ovaries present in the same animal. Hermaphrodite. Okay. Look at the bee. This is the bee. Bee means, second example, cockroach. This is the male cockroach. This is the female cockroach. Externally, they look very much similar. Look internally. These are the testes present in the male. And look at this. This is the ovary present in the female. The structures are quite different. So they are unisexual organisms. Example is cockroach. Right? Third, monoecious plant, which is an algae basically. It's called as chara. Okay? Look at it. One plant having female sex organs and male sex organs in the same particular plant body. Monoecious. This is the female flower. This is the male flower. Oogonium is seen over here in the female flower. Antheridium is seen over here at the base in the male flower. So this is called as your monoecious plant. Fine. Look at this. D. Marchantia. Marchantia is a bryophyte. Okay. Moss. Mosses दिखते हैं ना अभी. You can see the moss on the walls and all. Rainy season है तो. Marathi we call it shevar. You might have seen this. हाँ, ग्रीन कलर का पूरा ऐसे वॉल पे एक कारपेट आ जाता है, कभी कभी फ्लोर पे भी आ जाता है, और उसके ऊपर से अगर फिसलोगे तो हड्डी टूटेगी. कभी फिसले हो, वो ग्रीन वाला स्लिपरी पार्ट हो जाता है फ्लोर पे, बाहर कंपाउंड में चलते वक्त बहुत गंदा लगता है ना. अरे इट्स वेरी बैड, पेनफुल, आई नो. 4 बार, ओ गॉड बेटा प्लीज टेक केयर, इट्स वेरी पेनफुल. And you don't have any option. You try to catch hold of something ना, you just slip off, गिर जाते हो, है ना. अरे यही प्रॉब्लम है. Same with me also. Like I am very scared. I know that I am going to like इधर पूरा मॉस का कारपेट है, मैं बहुत संभल के चलती हूँ वहां से. So it becomes very difficult. It was a slope तो और भी गिरोगे. स्लोप है और अगर उधर वहां पर है ना वो मॉस जमा हुआ है ना, तो बहुत गंदा लगता है वहां पर. इट मेक्स यू नो एक्चुअली इट हर्ट्स यू. इसीलिए 4 बार गिरा ना बेटा. Seriously, we have to be careful, especially during this time. This is this mosses. Marchantia is an example of that type of bryophyta. Okay, so in this you can see, देखो, this is the female thallus. It is going to have a structure called as archegoniophore, और ये जो flower के जैसा जो structure है ना, that is archegonium. And this is the male thallus. It is going to have antherdiophore, and इसका जो flower के जैसा है ना, that is antheridium. So antheridium will have antherzoids or the male gametes. Archegonium will have the egg or the female gamete, but they are on 2 different thalli. दो अलग अलग बॉडी के ऊपर है, दो अलग अलग थैलस है, इसलिए उसको हम क्या कहते हैं? डायोशियस. 2 different sexes in 2 different thallus body. Got it? Clear? Bisexual flower. ये देखो, sweet potato. See, It is having stamen also, it is having carpel also or pistil, whatever. So एक फ्लावर में दोनों है, इसलिए ये बाइसेक्सुअल हो गया बेटा, ठीक है। तो जैसे एक ही फ्लावर में दोनों है तो इसको बाइसेक्सुअल फ्लावर कहते हैं, वैसे ही एक ही ऑर्गेनिज्म में टेस्टिस ओवरीज दोनों है तो इसको भी हम बाइसेक्सुअल कह सकते हैं या फिर हर्माफ्रोडाइट कहते हैं। Now I understood very clearly the difference between bisexual, unisexual, dioecious, monoecious, homothallic, heterothallic. Homothallic का एग्जाम्पल यहाँ पर नहीं है, यहाँ पर उन्होंने heterothallic का दिया हुआ है। See, these are two different thallus. Heterothallic. You know what is thallus? Thallus is nothing but unorganized body of the plant is called as thallus. It does not have typical root, stem, leaf, flower, fruit. ऐसे कुछ नहीं होता है। एक compact mass of cells है plants के, उसको हम thallus कहते हैं। Fine ना? All these diagrams along with the names have been given in your NCERT textbook, so you ought to remember them and learn them very nicely. Questions are going to come from this area continuously in all your examinations. Okay? Got it? Well, so that's about the monoecious dioecious condition. Well, cell division during gamete formation. Gametes in all heterogametic species are of two types, male gametes and female gametes. ये तो अभी easy वाला part start हो गया. Gametes are haploid, though the parental plant body from which they arise may be either haploid or diploid. So if they are haploid parents, gametes will be formed by mitosis. If they are diploid parents, gametes will be formed by meiosis. So the entire process we have seen about the mitosis and meiosis in detail, correct? A haploid parent produces gametes by mitotic division. Several organisms belonging to Monera, fungi, algae, bryophytes have haploid plant body. You already know what is Monera and fungi, right? You will come to know what is algae and bryophytes in the coming lectures. But in organisms belonging to pteridophyte, gymnosperms and angiosperms, which are higher plants, okay? Algae and bryophytes are lower plants. Pteridophyte, gymnosperms and angiosperms are higher plants. The organisms belonging to pteridophyte, gymnosperm and angiosperms, and most of the animals, including human beings, the parental body is diploid. We all are diploid now. Our germinal cells undergo meiosis to form haploid gametes is what we have already studied. It is obvious that meiosis, the reduction division, has to occur if a diploid body has to produce haploid gametes, correct? In diploid organisms, specialized cells called as the meiocytes, or it's also called as the gamete mother cells, undergo meiosis. At the end of the meiosis, one set of chromosomes gets incorporated into each gamete, making 4 haploid gametes. Okay. Most important chart. Name of the organism, chromosome number in meiocyte. Meiocytes are 2n. And chromosome number in gametes. Gametes is always n. How human beings? 46. Haploid number 23. Housefly 12. Half of it 6. Rat has got 42 chromosomes and the gametes will have 21. Dog has got 78 chromosomes. Its gamete will have 39. Cat has got 38 chromosomes. Gamete 19. Fruit fly 8 chromosomes. 4 in the gametes. Fruit fly पता है ना? The small black color के flies जो banana के ऊपर मंडराते रहते हैं. If you have got ripe bananas at your house now, or even other fruits also, the small black color के flies will be always sitting around it. Those are the fruit flies, also called as Drosophila. Ophioglossum is a fern plant. Look, 1260 chromosomes. And in its gametes, it's going to have half of it, 630. Apple has got 34 chromosomes, 17 in the gamete. Rice has got 24, 12 in the gamete. Maize has got 20, 10 in the gamete. Potato has got 48 chromosomes, 24 in the gametes. Butterfly, itna sa hai, chotu sa butterfly. It has got 380 50 chromosomes and 190 in the gametes. Onion has got 32 chromosomes in the myocyte and 16 in the gametes. Okay. Yeah. In NCERT number of chromosomes, हाँ, follow NCERT, follow NCERT. छोटा पैकेट बड़ा धमाका इधर भी है, कौन भी है, लेकिन बटरफ्लाई तो है ही. बेटा you have to remember either these or these. मतलब you have to remember both. इधर आप हैप्लॉइड नंबर याद रखो, उसको डिप्लॉइड क्वेश्चन आता है तो मल्टीप्लाई बाय 2 करो, या फिर डिप्लॉइड नंबर याद रखो, डिवाइड बाय 2 करके गैमेट का नंबर लिखो. बट ये आता है चार्ट आपके एनसीईआरटी में, आपके एग्जामिनेशन में. ओके, बी केयरफुल, बी केयरफुल. Okay, the next process is gamete transfer. So how are the gametes going to be transferred? See, after their formation, male and female gametes must be physically brought together to facilitate fusion, which is called as fertilization. In a majority of organisms, male gamete is motile, female gamete is stationary. No, not when it is a caterpillar, only after it becomes a butterfly. In majority of organisms, male gamete is motile. We know, even in human beings, the spermatozoa is motile. Exceptions are few fungi and algae in which both types of gametes are motile. There is a need for a medium through which male gametes can move. In several simple plants like algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, water is the medium through which this gamete transfer takes place. So the male gametes are going to be displaced. They enter the water. Via the water, they reach the female gamete. Okay. If male has polyploidy, how is the chromosome number in each cell constant? That is not natural, beta. Polyploids, we have made polyploids. Naturally, it is going to be constant, and polyploids will be multiples of the original set. As in case of hexaploid wheat, wheat ka gamete number is 7 chromosomes. So hexaploid will have 7 6 are 42 chromosomes. We have got hexaploid wheat, we have got octaploid wheat. We use them. We octaploid and hexaploid wheats. So that is, we have done changes in them. Originally, the basic number of chromosomes is 7. Okay. What happens after the gamete fusion in water? Zygote formation. Once the two gametes are fused, it leads to zygote formation. Then embryo formation. Process. Okay. In the water only, it is one way. In the 3 types of organisms like algae, bryophyte, and pteridophyte, water acts as a medium for transferring the male gametes to reach the female gametes. Okay. Water is not the only way. In these 3 examples, they are same. Fine. A large number of male gametes, however, fail to reach the female gametes. To compensate their loss of male gametes during transport, the number of male gametes produced is several thousand times the number of the female gametes produced. Because it's not a sure shot method that it is going to reach the right place now. So there is always a loss of, these male gametes to reach there. They fail to reach. So they are produced also in very large number. Okay. In seed plants, pollen grains are the carriers of male gametes and ovules have the egg. Now this is again a very important point, that in case of gymnosperms and angiosperms, which are going to have seeds, okay, in them, the male gametes will be carried in the pollen grain. You have heard about the word pollen grain, right? So the pollen grain is going to be a bag-like thing, a sac-like thing, which is going to hold the pollen grain, which is going to hold the male gametes in it. And the ovule is going to have the egg inside it. Okay. Pollen grains produced in the anther therefore have to be transferred to the stigma before it can lead to fertilization. So where are these pollen grains going to be formed? In the anther. So from the anther, the pollen grain needs to be transported to the stigma of the plant. From the stigma, it will reach to the style. From the style, it will reach to the ovary. From the ovary, it will reach to the ovule. And from the ovule, it will reach to the egg. It's a long journey for the male gametes to travel. In bisexual self-fertilizing plants, example peas, transfer of pollen grains to the stigma is relatively easy, as anther and stigma are located close to each other in the same flower. एक ही फ्लावर में दोनों है तो उधर के उधर फर्टिलाइजेशन इजी हो जाता है, correct? Pollen grains soon after they are shed come in contact with the stigma. But in cross pollination, that includes all the dioecious plants, a special event called as pollination facilitates transfer of pollen grain to the stigma. Pollen grain germination on the stigma and pollen tube carrying the male gametes reach the ovule and discharge the male gametes near the egg. Okay, so where is the egg present? How is this pollen tube going to be formed? How the discharge of the male gametes takes place exactly near the egg is everything that I'm going to talk about in the next chapter. It's a very beautiful phenomena. Though it seems to be, like a plant ka reproduction hai, but it is so interesting. It's so interesting that, you actually enjoy that entire journey of, how these everything structures are going to be formed and how systematically the things are arranged. And you might have never even thought about it earlier. ऐसे बहुत beautiful phenomena है जो अगले chapter में आने ही वाले हैं. Fine. In dioecious animals like you and me, since male and female gametes are formed in different individuals, the organisms must evolve a special mechanism for gamete transfer. So we have already seen that how the insemination takes place by the process of copulation between males and females, humans especially, for the deposition of the semen into the vaginal tract of the female, right? Successful transfer and coming together of gametes is essential for the most critical event in sexual reproduction, that is nothing but the fertilization. So water can be a medium for transfer, air can be a medium for transfer, insects, birds, animals, bats, they can be a medium for transport of gametes from male to the female in plants. Okay, but what is the end story? Once the two gametes are going to be brought together, fertilization is ought to occur. Okay. In some words, it is yeah. Yes, you are right. You are right. Correct. See, this is the homogametes of the alga which are getting fused to form a zygote, and a new individual is formed. And this is the germinating pollen grains on the stigma of the flower. This is a blurred image in itself. Even in your NCERT textbook, it is a blurred image because it is the actual image taken via the microscopic lenses. Okay, so you can very well see over here. Yeah. Can you see this is a pollen grain which is germinating, and you can see the pollen tube is being formed, and several such pollen tubes are entering inside the ovary. It's a true picture taken under the microscope. Fine. Any difficulty with this content, my dears? Anyone wants to ask any doubts, any difficulties for this content which I've explained just now? Any word not understood, any point not understood, please do let me know. Understood? Good. Then we come to the event of fertilization. The most vital event of sexual reproduction is perhaps the fusion of gametes. This process, called syngamy, results in the formation of a diploid zygote. The term fertilization is also is often used for this process. So syn means coming together. Gamy means gametes. Coming together of two gametes is syngamy. Okay. It results in the formation of a diploid zygote. So haploid gamete plus haploid gamete, n plus n is equal to 2n. Right? The terms syngamy and fertilization are frequently used, though interchangeably. You can either call it as fertilization or you can call it as syngamy. In some organisms, most important point, in some organisms like rotifers, honeybees, and even some lizards and birds like turkey, the female gamete undergoes development to form a new organism without fertilization. So the female gamete means the egg which is going to be formed will undergo certain changes which results in the formation of a new offspring without undergoing fertilization. This phenomenon is called as parthenogenesis. So what is parthenogenesis, beta? It is a type of asexual reproduction. Na? There is no fusion of gametes. A gamete is formed. A gamete is formed, but that gamete which is formed is not at all going to undergo any fusion. So no fertilization seen, no fusion seen. So the resultant, what we say, the resultant organism is a product of what? The egg alone. They are saying female gamete. So it should be what? Egg alone, na? Correct? Correct, na? Understood? Yes. Yes. What is? Rotifers? Rotifers are very small insect-like things, you know. They are also called as wheel animals. Uh, they, you know, like they're going to be found even in water and all water bodies also they're going to be found. Rotifers, very small. छोटू होते हैं बहुत माइक्रोस्कोपिक भी फॉर्म्स होते हैं उनके. Those are the rotifers. Fine. So that is all about your parthenogenesis, but they have asked questions in your board exams that is define parthenogenesis. So what is parthenogenesis? When the female gamete undergoes development to form a new organism without fertilization, the phenomenon is going to be called as parthenogenesis. Okay, got it? Yeah, of course. Then it becomes simple now. In most aquatic organisms, such as majority of algae and fish, as well as amphibians, syngamy occurs in external medium, that is in the water. Okay, external medium is the water over here, that is outside the body of the organism. This type of gametic fusion is called as external fertilization. Means what will happen? Male gametes released in the water, female gametes released in the water, both the gametes fuse in the water only. So this type of fertilization is called as external fertilization. Okay, who all shows the majority of algae, fish, and amphibians? External fertilization. Organisms exhibiting external fertilization show great synchrony between the sexes and release a large number of gametes into the surrounding medium, that is water, in order to enhance the chances of syngamy. Synchrony. Synchrony means what? What do you mean by synchronization? What is the word synchronization? Come on, it's an English word. A link. Very good. Yes. So there is going to be a link. There is going to be an interaction between the two, opposite sexes to liberate their gametes almost at the same time so that the gametes can fuse into the external medium. Got it? This happens in the bony fish and frogs, where a large number of offsprings are produced. A major disadvantage is that offsprings are extremely vulnerable to predation. They are eaten away by the predators, threatening their survival up to the adulthood. So, like there are thousands of eggs and thousands of sperms which are going to be, liberated in the water by the frogs. But hardly 10 to 15 frogs will hatch out because before they are going to, and not even that 10 to 12 अगर बनते भी है ना उनमें से एक या दो ही survive करेंगे बाकी के खाए जाएंगे they'll be eaten away. Yes, they do have faith. Yes. Okay, now. So this is about the external fertilization. In many terrestrial organisms belonging to fungi, higher animals such as reptiles, birds, mammals, and majority of plants like bryophyte, pteridophyte, gymnosperm, angiosperm, syngamy occurs inside the body of the organism. Hence, it is called as internal fertilization. We all also have got internal fertilization, correct? In all these organisms, egg is formed inside the female body where they fuse with the male gamete. In organisms exhibiting internal fertilization, the male gamete is motile and the female gamete is static. Okay, so it has to reach to the egg in order to fuse with it. Correct? Even though the number of sperms produced is very large, there is a significant reduction in the number of eggs produced. Generally only one egg in case of human beings. So one egg produced during one particular ovary alternately, which is what we have already known. Okay. Yeah, they have. Yes. In seeded plants, however, the non-motile male gametes are carried to the female gamete by pollen tubes. See, in seeded plants, like mango and all, the male gamete is also non-motile. The female gamete is also non-motile. So they require the pollen tube to carry the male gametes and reach the egg. Fine, got it? But otherwise, generally male gametes are motile. Post-fertilization, zygote and embryo basically. Events in sexual reproduction after the formation of zygote are called as post-fertilization events. First is the zygote. Formation of the diploid zygote is universal in all sexually reproducing organisms. In organisms with external fertilization, zygote is formed in the external medium, usually water. Whereas in those exhibiting internal fertilization, zygote is formed inside the body of the female, right? Further development of the zygote depends on the type of life cycle the organism has. Very important point. I'll be talking something more on this. Please pay attention. Further development of the zygote depends on the type of life cycle the organism has and the environment it is exposed to. In organisms belonging to fungi and algae, zygote develops a thick wall that is resistant to desiccation and damage. Desiccation means drying. So it will prevent that particular zygote from drying up and getting damaged because of a wall. It undergoes a period of rest before germination. So what is the meaning of this? That depending upon the life cycle, please understand this. Suppose we all are diploids, right? We have got two sets of chromosomes, one from father, one from mother. So the zygote which is going to be formed in human beings will also have 46 chromosomes. Agreed. Now these 46 chromosomes के जो cells है, it will divide by mitosis to form the embryo. Embryo के every cell will have 46 chromosomes. It will form a fetus, infant, child, teenager, adult, senior citizen, old people. All of us, 2n number is maintained. So no issues in our case. But so what is the thumb rule? The offsprings should resemble the parents with respect to the number of chromosomes. Parents में diploid है और offsprings में haploid है तो नहीं चलेगा. वैसे ही parents haploid है, as in case of honeybee. Okay, parent haploid है, offspring diploid है, नहीं चलेगा. ठीक है, तो जैसे कि और एक एग्जांपल है हैप्लॉइड वाला, दैट इज मेजॉरिटी ऑफ योर एल्गे. मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द एल्गे आर हैप्लॉइड्स. अब वो हैप्लॉइड है और ऑफस्प्रिंग अगर डिप्लॉइड बनेगा तो कैसे चलेगा? सो एज सून एज जाइगोट बनेगा ना बेटा, जाइगोट विल अंडरगो मियोसिस. Once the zygote undergoes meiosis, it will form 4 haploid cells which will grow as new individuals. So this is called as your zygotic meiosis, where the zygote will undergo meiosis. While in our case, it is gametic meiosis. Meiosis will take place in the formation of gametes. Okay. In fungi also, yes, it is zygotic meiosis. Yes, perfectly right. Even in fungi, it is going to be zygotic meiosis. Okay. In organisms with haplontic life cycle, zygote divides by meiosis to form haploid spores that grow into haploid individuals. Zygote is the vital link that ensures continuity of species between organisms of one generation and the next. Every sexually reproducing organism, including human beings, begin life as a single cell, the zygote. Life begins only from the zygote of the next generation. Therefore, zygote is a very important structure produced by the fusion of the two gametes in the life of sexually reproducing organisms. Understood this? Clear about this? Embryo formation. Embryogenesis refers to the process of development of embryo from the zygote. During embryogenesis, Zygote undergoes cell division. That is, it will undergo what? Mitosis and cell differentiation. That means it will become mature. While cell division increases the number of cells in the developing embryo, cell differentiation helps group of cells to undergo certain modifications to form specialized tissues and organ systems also to ultimately make up the organisms. Okay, so if you look at us, neural system, respiratory system, digestive system, reproductive system, excretory system, right? So every particular system has got different organs associated with it. Every organ is going to have different types of tissues associated with it. And every tissue is a resultant of what? Modification of certain cells. So cells get modified to form different types of tissues. Different types of tissues aggregate, make a common function to call as an organ. And different organs get associated to complete that entire function, which is going to be called as your organ system. Correct? Animals are categorized into oviparous and viviparous based on whether the development of the zygote takes place outside the body of the female parent or inside. That is, whether they lay fertilized or unfertilized eggs or give birth to the young ones. One question which I would like to ask you: the eggs that people consume, hen's egg that people consume, is it a fertilized egg or is it unfertilized egg? The egg that people eat, we eat, is it fertilized? Is it unfertilized? Fertilize, fertilize, and fertilize, and fertilize, and fertilize, fertilize. Oh, oh, oh. I'm getting so many answers. Come on, try, try, try. Okay, so I'm getting 50-50 answers. 50% of the answers that I've received are saying unfertilized, and 50% of the answers that I have received is saying fertilized. Those who have said fertilized are correct. Okay. Yes, beta. What happens in case of the egg that is obtained from the geese, turkey, duck, hen? Already it's a fertilized, like zygote, which is going to be a fertilized product inside the body of the female fowl, FOWL. Okay, that is the, poultry. And then it will develop a calcareous shell over it. Okay, and then it will be laid outside for the development of the embryo. So zygote is already undergoing embryogenesis when the shell formation will take place, which will be laid to the outside. And that is the reason, the hen will sit on the egg till the, young ones do not hatch out. So it's already a fertilized one. After laying the eggs, it cannot get inseminated. The sperms cannot enter the calcareous hard shell. So it has to be, yeah, that is why it is considered as a non-vegetarian food by some. Yes. Right? Yeah, exactly. So that's a zygote. It's a zygote which is developing into an embryo by the time the egg is laid. So nowadays, of course, nowadays you get those artificial eggs, the white eggs that you all get in the market now. Those actually are not the actual biological eggs, I would say. Those are the broiler eggs. That means they are going to be, like artificially synthesized. But the natural eggs that are there, I don't know if you have seen or not, they are a bit pinkish in color. They're not pure white in color. They aren't so large also. They're a bit smaller. No, I don't eat egg. I only eat ghas foos. I'm a complete vegetarian. I don't even eat egg. Nothing. But I've seen those pink color ke hote hain. What are unfertilized eggs? Yeah, the unfertilized eggs are going to be called as the, they are the ones which are of the frogs which are seen, you know, or fish which are seen floating as aggregates in the water bodies. I don't know if you have seen them in the water bodies ना, ऐसे bubbles के जैसे छोटे छोटे aggregates है ना, they are going to be spreading, you know, in the water bodies. Yeah, it's very slimy. Yes, it's very slimy. Those are the unfertilized eggs, which are liberated as eggs in the water body by frogs, certain fish, and so on. But the bird's eggs that are there, na beta, they all are fertilized eggs. They all are fertilized eggs. Okay, because I wanted to, like many a times, you know, when I ask this question, I always get these type of responses, 50-50. So I just wanted to make this very, very clear to all of you all that the eggs which are eaten, the bird's eggs which are eaten or which are seen, they are laid. Even you might have seen the crow's eggs being laid or somewhere, you know. So those all are fertilized eggs. Okay? And viviparous, we all are viviparous. We give birth directly to our young ones. This viviparous. Okay. In oviparous animals like reptiles and birds, the fertilized eggs, it's already given over here, so I did not show you the next slide, otherwise तुम्हें answer मिल जाता था. So in oviparous animals like reptiles and birds, the fertilized eggs covered by hard calcareous shell are laid in safe place in the environment. After a period of incubation, the young ones would hatch out. On the other hand, in viviparous animals, majority of mammals, including human beings, the zygote develops into a young one inside the body of the female. After attaining a certain stage of growth, the young ones are delivered out of the body of the female organs, which is called as parturition. Because of proper embryonic care and protection, the chances of survival of the young ones is greater in viviparous animals. Right? So that is oviparity and viviparity. Samjha? In flowering plants, the zygote is formed inside the ovule. After ovule will get converted into a seed. तो आपके फ्रूट में जो सीड आती है ना, सीड जो आप जनरली फेंक देते हो, है ना, लेकिन बहुत सारे सीड्स हम खाते भी है. Okay, so the seed of is nothing but it is earlier it was called as the ovule before fertilization. After fertilization, sepals, petals, stamen of the flower wither and fall off. Wither means सूख जाते हैं और गिर जाते हैं. Sepals भी निकल जाएंगे, petals भी निकल जाएंगे, stamen भी निकल जाएगा. The pistil, however, remains attached to the plant. So the carpel is still attached with the plant. Rest everything of the flower has shed off. The zygote develops into the embryo and the ovule develops into the seed. So the seed will now contain the embryo. So when we are going to make the seed to germinate, the plant which is going to be germinating, coming out of the soil is actually what? Embryogenesis. The embryo is growing to form the plant, right? The ovary develops into the fruit, which develops a thick wall called as pericarp that is protective in function. So, you know mango के ऊपर छिलका होता है, उस छिलके को हम पेरिकाप कहते हैं, जो निकाल के जनरली फेंक दिया जाता है या नहीं? That is your pericarp. Okay, but pericarp again, as I always say कि आगे जब मैं और आपको थोड़ा डिटेलिंग कराऊंगी ना, तो तुम्हें समझेगा कि पेरिकाप इज मेड अप ऑफ 3 layers, एपी, मीजो एंड एंडो. आज नहीं पकाऊंगी, मैं तो बोलोगे क्या मिस आप कुछ भी बोले जा रहे हो, कुछ समझ में तो नहीं आ रहा है. तो आज नहीं बताऊंगी मैं आपको, आज नहीं पकाऊंगी मैं आपको. दूसरा एक चैप्टर है जिसमें है ना, द 3 layers of pericarp would be taught to you. As of now, just remember the outer covering of the fruit is going to be called as pericarp. Well, it is protective in function. After dispersal means after the seeds are going to be dispersed, thrown out of the fruit, seeds germinate under favorable conditions to produce new plants. We know seeds are going to be used for making new plants. So here you can see a few kinds of fruit showing seeds and protective pericarp. P stands for pericarp, S stands for seeds. ये तो आपको शेप से पता चल ही गया होगा that they are talking about the green peas, मटार, है ना? ये जो है टमेटो का है बेटा, दिस इज द टमेटो का क्रॉस सेक्शन, दिस इज द आउटर छिलका पेरिकार्प एंड इंटरनल दीज आर द सीड्स over here. Seeds, pericarp, seeds, pericarp of different fruits they are showing over here. Got this? Is this understood very clearly? Any difficulty in understanding this? Pakka? Okay, fine. So with this, we have completed this chapter as well. Okay, this chapter is also completed. That is reproduction in organisms is completed today. In the next class, we'll go ahead with a new chapter. Is it fine? Is there any difficulty that you have come across in this chapter? No difficulty? Sure. Thank you so much. Over. Yeah. This chapter is over. So we're going to go ahead with the next chapter in the next class, which is a connecting chapter only. It's connected with this chapter. As I always say, I'll get yourselves connected to, one chapter to another, so you get the link between them. So next chapter, we're going to go ahead with sexual reproduction in flowering plants. This was 12th standard. Okay. So yeah, PDF of this I'll send. It is ready already in front of you. So definitely I'll send you. Huh. No, it is 20 beta. It's a misprint. It is 20. Okay. Yeah, fine. Yeah, beta. Bye. See you all in the next week and enjoy your weekend and study nicely and all the best for your test and whatever. Bye. See you all.